In this video, we're going to join a Zoom meeting and just show some of the things you can do as a participant. So first things first, we already have Zoom installed. If you don't know how to install Zoom, go ahead and go back to the first video. I'm already logged in. So you'll see I'm logged in right there. Of course, log in if you need to. The first time you're joining a meeting, you're not really going to have anything saved in here in terms of addresses, so you're going to have to type it in manually. So I'm going to leave my name here, and I'm going to type in the ID for this particular meeting. Now, this is something that is likely on the syllabus of your professor. They may use the same meeting for that class, or the same meeting ID for that class every single time. Some may generate a new one all the time, so you have to keep checking your email or checking Canvas. This one is just a temporary ID we're going to use just for this video. So now we're going to join. And depending on your settings, you'll see something like this. It allows you to join to see what your video is going to look like before you join. I would suggest you sort of leave this setting on just to make sure that your video is working before you come in and make sure that you're not picking up anything in the background that you're overly concerned about. So we're going to join video. Now, for the most part, most of your professors are going to have a waiting room on. This isn't always the case. You may be able to come right in. So you see something like that, and you're placed in a waiting room until your professor is ready to let you in. Once you're let in, you'll see something like this, and right away you'll see down the bottom, it says that I am muted. Now, the settings that we talked about in the earlier video, that is something I would leave on. Often there's some stuff going on in the background in your house you may not want everybody to hear, and for the most part, you don't want everybody here every single time you shuffle paper or something like that. What will happen in Zoom is it will, if you make noise, automatically, for lack of a better term, zoom in on you and show you as sort of trying to talk. You're trying to, address the rest of the class. You don't want that to happen if you're just sort of messing around. So you're going to have to unmute and talk when you're ready to talk. So if you go over here, unmute, you say something like, oh, I have a question. What's the square root of 4? What's the square root of 4? Yes. Oh, thank you very much for that. When you're done asking your question, go ahead and mute again because you don't want, again, everything that's happening at your house to pop up on the screen. And again, you'll zoom in to the middle when you're talking. So we're going to mute. And let's just look at the different views. So right here on the side, you'll see I have sort of the main view. So Lady Doster is teaching right now. We see her. She just started sharing her screen. That's exactly what I was about to ask her to do. So we'll see her screen shared right here, and over here we'll see a couple different options. We can see nothing, sort of do that. We can just see her screen. We can see her. Now that's likely going to change. If somebody else in the class starts talking, that's going to zoom in on them instead. Or we can see sort of the thumbnail view that shows everybody in the class. I tend to sort of stick with this one because I kind of like to see if somebody is about to talk and then see the shared screen. If you have two monitors or if you have your TV hooked up to your monitor, you can, of course, sort of split this. You can have maybe shared screen up on top and then the participant view on another screen. So what we're going to do is just show off a couple things that can happen during class. So sometimes, let's say this is not, she's ahead of me here. Let's say sometimes this isn't working or you don't really want to interrupt her in the middle of talking, but you have an important question. You could say, chat here. You could either send to everyone and say, does anyone know what square root 4 is? Or I can send something specifically to the host or specifically to another person in the class. Now, this chat is recorded, so be a little careful about what you're saying in there. If you're just chatting with people back and forth, the private chats are not shared though. Let's say I have a piece of code. I'm like, can you help me with this code, and then I'm going to send her a file. So let me go to my Google Drive here, or my OneDrive. There it is. And let's just send her a code. So you see, I sent her. She can open it up. She can look at it. She can now give me some help on it. Now, if I want to talk to her privately, she can set up a breakout room. Now, this is also the kind of thing where the teacher may set up a breakout room to sort of get a few students to go talk separately from the rest of the class, or it could just be a one-on-one thing. I often use that as a one-on-one. I'll have a student who specifically wants me to take a look at something, doesn't want the rest of the class to see it, so we'll go into a breakout room for a little and then come back later. Now, the problem with a breakout room with 2 people is this is going to look exactly the same as it just looked. So I'm in a breakout room here. I'm alone right now. This doctor's going to join. And it looks exactly like what you just saw. But theoretically, that other one would have had 10 people in it. Now it's just the 2 of us. And we can talk back and forth privately, even though this looks exactly like the last view. This is theoretically just the 2 of us, and the other one would have everybody else in the class. I can say, thanks, I now understand square root 4 equals 2, and let's go back to our regular meeting. Now I can either leave the room or she can close the breakout room. So I'm going to mute again and leave the room and leave the breakout room. Okay, now we're back to the main session. I got to leave the meeting for a minute. Could you stay here and I'll be right back? So what we're going to do is leave. Okay, so now that we've joined the meeting once, that ID we typed in is saved. So after you've joined all of your professors' meetings for the first time, you go to join, you click that little button right there, and you'll see a history here. Now, if they're using their personal IDs, you'll probably see their names right there. Mrs. Doster called this meeting how to use Zoom, so we're just going to click on it and reconnect. So if you get disconnected, just go ahead and click on it. Come right back in. Now I'm back in the waiting room. Sometimes that may take you a little while to get back in if the meeting room or the waiting room is still on. So you see we're back. And again, I would probably get all your professors in there for the first time through class, and they'll all be stored there from here on out. And the last thing we want to show you is how to take a poll. So your professor can create a poll. Are you understanding the subject? Maybe send you a few little quick questions just to sort of get a feel for how the class is doing. So this is pretty clear. I answer the question, and I believe, let's ask, can you share? There we go. So once it's over, you can see the poll results, and then of course you can discuss it. That's really it for this sort of basic meeting.